Imagine Brenda fixes her budget. James cuts his transport spending. Brian stops stress buying sodas on the matatu. Every Kenyan at exactly the same time decides to spend less and save more. The spreadsheets are open. The Fuliza balances are zero. The matatu conductors are getting exact change for the first time in recorded history. Sounds like the dream, right? Here is the nightmare hiding inside it. The moment everyone stops spending, the person whose income depended on that spending loses their money. The mboga who sold Brenda her sukuma every week now has fewer customers. She cuts back on her own spending because her income dropped. The farmer who supplied her now has fewer orders. He buys less from the hardware store. The hardware store owner pays his staff less. His staff spend less, and so on in every direction simultaneously across the entire economy. Everyone saved. Everyone got poorer. This is not a thought experiment. This is a documented economic phenomenon with a name first described with uncomfortable precision by an economist in the 1930s during a period when the entire world was doing exactly what seemed sensible, spending less, saving more, and watching their economies collapse anyway. We will come back to who that economist was, but first, let us make sure the mechanism is completely clear. Here is the core idea. In a personal budget, saving is subtraction. You earn, you save, you have more left over. The math is simple, and it works. But in an economy, your spending is someone else's income. Every shilling Brenda spends at the market is a shilling that lands in the mboga's pocket. Every fare James pays is revenue for the matatu operator. Every soda Brian buys, yes, even the stress soda, is income for the kiosk owner, who uses it to pay rent, who pays a landlord, who pays a contractor, who pays workers, who spend it somewhere else. Money does not disappear when you spend it. It moves, and the speed at which it moves, how many hands it passes through before it stops, is what economists call the velocity of money. When everyone saves at once, the velocity drops. Money stops moving, and an economy where money stops moving is an economy that starts shrinking. Now here is the part that should make you genuinely uncomfortable. Every piece of financial advice you have ever received, save more, spend less, build an emergency fund, cut unnecessary expenses, is correct. At the individual level, all of it is correct. Brenda should save before she sends. Brian should build a cheaper win than the stress soda. James should update his transport budget. All of that is true, and if all of them do it at exactly the same time, in exactly the same direction, the collective result is the opposite of what each individual intended. Everyone tries to get richer. Everyone gets poorer. This is what economists call the paradox of thrift. Individually rational, collectively catastrophic. Let us bring this to something concrete. Imagine it is January and every Kenyan household decides simultaneously to cut discretionary spending by 20%. 20% less on eating out, entertainment, non-essential shopping, market treats, anything beyond the basics. Within 3 months, the businesses that depend on that discretionary spending, restaurants, small traders, market stalls, kiosks, start losing revenue. Some close. Their staff lose income. Those staff members who were already trying to save now have less to save because they have less income. The savings rate, paradoxically, does not go up. It goes down because you cannot save money you did not earn. This happened in Kenya during the COVID lockdowns. Spending collapsed. Businesses closed. People who were trying to be responsible with money found themselves with less money to be responsible with. The individual logic was correct. The collective outcome was brutal. So does this mean you should not save? No. That conclusion is also wrong, and this is where the paradox resolves, or at least becomes less terrifying. The resolution is not that individuals should stop saving. The resolution is that when individuals collectively save more, something else needs to fill the spending gap. Typically, government spending, investment, or exports. This is why economists argue about stimulus packages, infrastructure spending, and deficit budgets during recessions. They are not ignoring the individual logic. They are accounting for what the paradox requires at the collective level to avoid the collapse. What this means for you personally is narrower and more useful. Save. Brenda should save. You should save. The paradox does not change your personal math. It changes what policymakers need to do while you are doing it. Your emergency fund does not crash the economy. A coordinated national savings shock with no compensating mechanism might. The economist who described all of this most clearly in the 1930s, while watching it happen in real time, across the entire industrialized world, was John Maynard Keynes. He watched governments tell their citizens to tighten their belts, watched citizens obey, and watched the Great Depression deepen anyway. His conclusion was not that saving was bad. It was that the collective math of an economy does not work the same way as the individual math of a household. Brenda's budget is not the economy. But understanding the difference might be the most useful thing this channel ever teaches you. Next week, we ask a question that follows directly from this one. If the economy needs people to keep spending and people need to save to survive, who exactly is supposed to blink first, and what happens when nobody does?